Before we start, let me extend a warm welcome to the CSMC channel for all the creative minds out there.
Today we have a very interesting topic, pendulum animation. So in this we'll learn follow through. This tutorial have two parts. In first part we'll do basic animation and understand what is follow through. And in second part we'll create abstract animation with help of pendulum. So first check this part 1, and for 2 I'm sure you will get a lot of learning as well as fun. So watch this tutorial till end for a useful tip which will help you in your career.
First, let us create a full HD file in Animate CC. Let us start with this new tutorial. Press R on your keyboard to activate the rectangle tool. Draw a rectangle by pressing the left mouse button and dragging it. This will act as a solid object where pendulum hangs. Change the color of the rectangle as per your liking. Press Ctrl G on Windows to make a group of the rectangle. Again, by Ctrl G, make a temporary group which will be empty. So we'll draw inside that group. Animate CC comes with that facility. Press O key for oval shape tool and select a different color. Create a small circle which will hang to our string. Double click on the circle and group it too. Press N key for line tool and draw a vertical line. Double click on the line and increase the stroke value to 8 in the properties column. To change its thickness, press Alt Ctrl S on to get this scale and rotation window and increase the scale in terms of its length instead of using free transform. Now here, depending on the length of the string, the timing of your animation will change. Put in the value according to your need. Right now the circle and the line are not aligned. Now press Ctrl E and select both. Go to the Align tab. Right now we only need to align the circle and the line, so turn off the Align to Stage option. Now both the objects are aligned with each other. Double click on the side to come out of the group. Turn on the Align to Stage option as we want to align the pendulum to the center of the stage. Now again click on the second Align option of the vertical align. Now move the slab a little above. Now our basic setup is ready. Now this is a scene. So let us press F8 and convert the pendulum into a symbol and name it main and make sure the type is graphic. Now this whole is symbol. You might be wondering why choose graphic as an option while making symbol and why not others. Don't worry, we have a very detailed video about that topic on our channel, so go check it out once you are done with this tutorial, link in the description. Now double click and go inside the symbol and press Ctrl E. Pay attention here. Press Ctrl Shift T. This short key will distribute the objects into different layers. Let us lock the slab layer as its position will be fixed. Now select the pendulum as this is a group. So press F8 to convert it into a symbol. Let us name it pendulum and select the type as graphic. As we have converted it into a symbol, let's change its pivot point first to the top of the string of the pendulum as it will swing from there. Let us take 60 frames. So select the number frame until which you want to extend, then press F5. Let us set the position of the pendulum. You must be wondering why 60 frames only. It is because it is a decent timing. And we will break it in two equal halves, so it's easier to identify the half of even numbers. And if we take 59, there is no value of 29.5 on the timeline. So that's why an even number. To have the scale and rotation window this time, we will use the rotation option. With regard to the position of the pendulum or the angle, it is 0. Now here put in the value of 40 degree. Now put a keyframe on the last frame by pressing F6 as we will be working in loop first and the last position should be the same. Now bring the playhead in the center and press F6 to put in keyframe there. and press Ctrl Alt S. Now we want to get the pendulum on the other side. If we put the value of -40, it will get back to the value of 0. It is very important to understand the software you are working with. In order to get the pendulum to the other side, we will put in the value of -80. Now we got these two positions, first pose and the last pose. Now let us select few frames from both the parts and right-click on them and select the option of Classic Tween. Play it and check if it is technically correct and working. As you can see, it is technically correct. Now here in between are important so. Let us place keys on frame 15 and frame 45 by pressing F6. Now let us label it, which will make it easy to understand. Click on the keyframes and change their name to position 1, 2 and 1 respectively. Now it is clear that which are the main key poses of the animations. After this over here, we are going to make a cycle of the animation. As it will come down from here, it will be a little fast as gravity is acting on it. And as it will go up from there, gravity will pull on it and it will become a little slow. This concept is called slow in and slow out, or ease in, ease out. And this is one of the animation principle out of the 12. Now here, Animate CC gives us an option where we can control the ease in and ease out. So click on a keyframe and go to the properties panel and put in 100 value for ease in. Now let us switch on the onion skin and see whether if we have gotten the output. Yes, we have. As discussed earlier, while going up, the pendulum will slow down a little. So let us change the value to 100. Again, let's switch on the onion skin and see if we have gotten the desired output. Yes, we have, so let's move on. If you will zoom in and look, you will see that when the ball is falling or when the ball is going up, the movement is slow. But in between, the movement is fast. Now let us do the same for the other two parts as well. Now the direction of the slow in and slow out will be opposite. So this is the pendulum animation. To play the animation in loop, select the frames and press enter so that the animation will play on loop. As you can see, the pendulum is swinging slowly and smoothly without any jerk. Now this was quite easy, so let us move on to the next step. If you have any difficulty, let me know down in the comment and I will try and solve your problem. Now moving ahead, let us take a new layer. Now we'll join another small pendulum to our big pendulum, which will be the follow-through of the big pendulum. By pressing Ctrl G, let us make another blank group in which you will draw a small circle, which will be attached to the big pendulum. If we make the circle bigger than our original pendulum, there will be a problem in animating its follow-through. Let's change its color so that it is easier to understand and can be differentiated. Press C on your keyboard and zoom in a little. And then press N to select the line tool and create a line above our new circle. Let's change the color of the line too, so that it is easier to understand and can be easily attached to the pendulum. Press Ctrl A and go in the align properties and repeat what we did to the big pendulum. Now they are both in the center. And let's get that and connect it to the big pendulum's bottom. As we can see, both of the objects are a group. So let us create a symbol for them by pressing F8 and name it second P and stick with graphic type. Now one thing, don't forget to set the pivot point correctly before putting keys, so press Ctrl Z and fix it. If you don't realize that you didn't set the pivot point the earlier stage and continue with the animation, then it will be very difficult for you to change the pivot point in the later stage. Let us set the first pose and the last pose same again by putting keys. Now go in the center and put a keyframe there and change the position of the small pendulum to match the position of the bigger pendulum. Now select keyframes and right-click and create classic tween. The symbol is technically working correct. Now we have to fix the in-between steps. If you're wondering why the animation is not following, it is because we have not put in between in the keyframes. The software has done its job by animating the in-between. Now it is our job to change its rotation according to the big pendulum. Let's add keyframes for in-between positioning of the animation like we did earlier. Now part of in-between is done, so let's do the same for the next part. To work on your animation in a very sequenced manner, so the workflow is smooth. For example, a sculptor doesn't start with the details of his statue, but before he puts on the clay, gives it a basic shape and then moves on to the detail. So likewise, start with the rough animation and then after the rough animation, work on detailed animation. Once let's play and check it if it is working fine. Yes, it is working fine. Now here we have to change the position of the smaller pendulum in terms of rotation to match with the bigger pendulum. Now the bigger pendulum is coming down from up, so in follow through, the object attached to the main body comes after the main body. That's why it is called follow through. Now, as the bigger pendulum is straight, the smaller will not be straight. Now here we have given the value of -40 to the rotation, so let's change to 40. If the bigger pendulum comes from the left, the smaller pendulum will also come from the left. Now, after coming here, put in the value of -40. It will go in the opposite direction, as we have done it earlier. Now let's play and see the basic animation that we have created. One thing you should notice here is that the ease in is by default of the software, so we'll put it manually as this technique is different. Now let's just put another key in between the first two keyframes and zoom in and change the position of the smaller pendulum. Now let's do the same in middle of the next two keyframes. So right now, this is what we have done. Here we have matched two of these poses. Now we will work on the next part. Now simply just come between the next two keyframes and put a key and change the position of the smaller pendulum to match the bigger pendulum. Now do the same for the next two keyframes. Now let's check it once if it is working properly. Yes, it is. The poses which are not matching, we do have to fix them. Now it is difficult to identify the middle point of these two frames, as it is not an even number. It is okay if you put the keyframe on the third or the fourth frame. To To make it more quicker, let us switch on the auto keyframe option. The keyframe will be created automatically and we don't have to press F6 every time. Auto keyframe is useful when you are confident in your sketching and know where and how to position the object. Auto key option can at times create mess, and it will mess up the whole timeline by creating unwanted frames. Let us play and see the output. Yes, it's working properly and smoothly now. Let us first turn off the auto key option. Let us play it in loop. Now we will check the animation. Looks good. If you want, you can go into more detail, add keyframes to match the position. Now let us bring the small pendulum layer below the big pendulum layer so that it looks as if the small pendulum is attached to the big pendulum. Now this is the basic pendulum. Definitely give it a try and keep practicing. One more thing I want to show you is now this is a single arc now. If you look closely, you will see a number 8 or the infinity shape for the small pendulum. In follow-through, you usually get the shape of number 8. As mentioned earlier, the follow-through action is a little delayed. If you don't see a perfect path here, understand that something is wrong. The distance of the number 8 is variable depending on the force. Also remember that it is very important to take the same number of frames outside the symbol to view the animation. So this was part 1. For part 2, we will create an abstract form out of this pendulum animation, which is very interesting. I personally like it.
I'm sure this tutorial you found very simple and easy to understand. Now, here is a tip for day. Whenever you are going to study an animation, try to learn, or one method is observe that animation frame by frame. There are a couple of softwares like QuickTime. I am using QuickTime Player to watch frame by frame so that I can study timings, I can study exaggeration, I can study strong posing. So do that, it will definitely help you to understand animation better. In advanced playlist, you will get lot of character animation and drawing related stuff which will definitely help you in your learnings as well as in your career. Along with that, on our website there is lot of interesting stuff which will add value in your knowledge. So now let's meet in the second part.